a second to see if we can get a crowd back on. We shut down the back up. It was choppy, and we're going to see if we can get a better stream going this time around. So give us your notes on it if if it looks better. I sure would like to know as we get rolling. We'll see. Right now, we'll just take our time here and get her back up to speed. Okay, we're starting to get the audience back in. As we get back in, we'll roll back into the conversation. So much to talk about this tonight. We got questions coming in too about this situation. So I'll wait a little bit till we grow the audience back a little bit and see if we could. Usually we don't grab as many people the second time around once it is choppy, but let me know if it's that the quality up a little bit at all. I'm not sure why the quality went down, but it did. And we've got to deal with that. I don't think it's because we overloaded Netflix. Man, was that terrible? That Netflix thing. Man, oh man, that could have been the worst. Not only were the announcers horrible, but the bump through the whole thing never got comfortable, never broke out the popcorn, the beverages. It was just fighting the remote control. That's too because, well, it wasn't much of a fight anyway. But the event, there was an event there. So, all right, we got the crowd coming back in. As you know, I'm Jeff Colson, junior hockey advisor, and we are talking about just the state of turmoil and change that we're dealing with right now. This is crazy what's going on. So we'll up to one question and a comment, then we'll get to where I left off at. Richard says, so curious, the OHL and other CHL teams will look at U.S. youth players more. And, I had a great conversation today. He didn't want to come on tonight. He's pretty shy, but he's one of the prominent Detroit U18 coaches, been around forever, runs the program. He's a great guy. And he's got the ear of everybody. He's got the ear of the OHL. Because right there in Detroit, he's got 4 HL teams that surround him. So he's surrounded by 4. He's got the National Development Program literally right down the street from him. And then he's got Michigan State, Bowling Green, Notre Dame. He's just circled by one programs around. He is in the Mecca. And he said, you know what? Haven't seen any different. And this is the big answer I've been getting. Let's see how the NHL draft goes. Let's see how the SHL draft goes. And then we can kind of figure it. The problem is I don't think there's time to wait on that. I said, yeah, I agree. Let's wait. But I thought about it more today, and I think the situation here, we don't have time to wait, okay? How's the signal? I hope it's coming in better. We don't have time to wait. The people, if you're on on a second-year junior player, and this is so hard for me to say, but say it, I might forego a year of juniors to lock in with a school before this influx becomes even bigger. The influx is going to come. Guys are going to have all the way up to the last minute, playing major juniors and go, okay, doesn't look like I've got a good AHL deal set for next year. It'll look like I've got a big contract that I can step right out of major junior and picked up by the NHL. I don't have a contract there. Maybe I was drafted, but that fell away because it expired. And I'm going to have to go to Europe, or I'm going to go to the East Coast League, and I'm going in as a player that's not proven, or nobody. No, I'm not under contract. I'm going to have to go out there and basically go in as a free agent and make a team. which happens to a ton of players, just a ton. So maybe that guy says, okay, look, I got an offer from X college. Now I've got 4 years to develop just like an AHL guy will develop. And then I got another shot. Maybe I got a shot at the NHL. Now I got my education taken care of. I'm still playing, good quality hockey. And I'm on track with what these American and kids that have been gone through the American system. I'm on the same path as they're on now. No different. They can wait till the last second to make that decision. So I think you're going to see a lot of schools taking advantage of that. Their job is to put the best product on the ice. It isn't to take care of a or U18 coach, no matter how loyal they are. It's a business. And it's going to change the landscape. So I think, I put a list of the winners and losers together on this, and I think this is interesting. Winners and losers. Winners out of this show. CHL, especially the WHL, Western Hockey League. Let's get that comment off there. Sorry about that. Especially the Western Hockey League. They're the winners this week. It's not winners. It might have to come down to winners and losers every day right now, because I think that as this plays out, we're shifting back and forth and things are moving so fast. Winners right now, guys that are going to the WHL players that are signing commitments that were, lost in the system, had made the step over to major junior hockey a couple years ago and are able to come back to the NCAA now. They were grabbed. There was 9 new commitments far in the WHL. That's kids that didn't have them. But there are 20 players up there playing. Okay, that means kids that have moved to. So that shows you now the 20 players up there that are NCAA division. That number is going to change. It's going to keep going up all year long. I don't know where it stops. I don't know if in the WHL it stops at 30, 40, 60. I don't know. I am done trying to say who's the good guy and the bad guy. Okay, I don't think there's a good guy and a bad guy on this anymore. I've been ingrained, has always been towards the positive is the American system, because we grew up in the States thinking everything is about getting to the D1 program and then some if you're really good. If I'm Canadian, I'm coming in saying everything's about trying to make and play for our local major junior team. If I'm live in Kitchener, man, I dream about playing for Kitchener and wearing the red, white, and blue. Okay, if I'm out in Everett, man, I'm dreaming about playing for Everett. Wherever, if like Calgary area, you got the Hitmen. I dream about playing for the Hitmen. That's because that you move up through the ranks, and then the really, really good kids get a chance to play major. That's the winners, CHL, WHL in particular. The new play opportunities abound. And what I mean by that is the WHL, that means the BCHL has got to replace them. They got to backfill. So they got to grab from the Null. They've got to, from the rest of the CGHL, they got to bring they got a Toba. Maybe they're bringing a kid up from the USHL. That might not be a move up. That might be a lateral situation there. But who are the losers this week? Who are the losers, November, so far? I think the losers are that, the middle to bottom level kid that has been getting some Division I talks, but, wait and see. They're going to wait and see. They're going to wait and see. Coaches would take him, and he's good enough to make the roster, good scholarship player on the team. Wait a little bit. That kid is going to have a problem right now. That's why I'm saying if you've got somebody that's already offered you, maybe it's best to say, hey, Coach, can I come a year early? Coach, can I get there, as soon as the loser, BCHL has been getting pounded And it was bad yesterday. Calm down. It's sad. It's worse today. I'm super. I'm worse as far as HL. If you stepped out of the BCHL, it's you may have done something you were part of being a catalyst, but at the same time, there's real shaky ground there as far as the quality and what's happening with that league. Who's the other loser in this? The USHL. The USHL, baby. I've heard everything from Division I coaches this week, from advisors. I've heard it from the USHL. There are teams that are like, hey, we're riding the storm out. We're fine. We haven't lost any players yet. Then there's other teams screaming like crazy. Oh my gosh, this is the worst thing in the world. We're losing everything. Guys aren't coming back next year. Third loser. They're a loser in this too, because of the NAL have just are given the opportunity to have players now. 16 above you, the expansion that the NAL has done over the last 3 to 5 years, when people are telling them don't expand, and that's going to kick them in the butt now. Already a league that pretty much primarily one league of Division I hockey. It's still got a big contingent of D3 players in the league. Will the league survive? I think the league will survive. It's going to morph, though. I think it's got to contract. I think it's got to reconfigure, and it's got to refocus. Very simple. NCDC had to do. The NCDC realized several years ago, okay, first of all, they should have they should have fought harder to keep their position in the East without allowing the NAL to walk in and take over. I'll start thinking about how do we become the best D3 league possible. They're still going to have D1 players, don't get me wrong, but they're going to have 60 teams of 60 teams pulling D1 again. If that's 5 players league, the major junior league, that's what the NAL does in a year. 300 players, boom, done. Okay, I don't think people are putting a full thought into what this is turning into. I wasn't. I got to admit, I was saying let's all be calm. I'm saying now it's time to act. Your best defense is an offensive situation. If you've got a player that's in juniors right now, your best defense is trying to figure it out. And I think the big winners are D3 hockey. Big with you. If my son is on the fence right now and he's in his last year of juniors, maybe even he's got 2 years left, and he's talking to some Division I teams, but nobody's really coming up on him. I'm on the phone to the best D3 programs out there, because the best already get 3, 4, 5 D1 drops every year. List is going to. You better get your spot and take care of yourself now. That's what I'm saying. The winner, NCAA Division III hockey, the winners are the ACHA. The winners are Division I hockey, because it's going to be phenomenal hockey. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Let's get into some of the comments and see. Hopefully I answered your question about youth hockey. I kind of went off a little bit of a tangent. Is the showcase in Mount Michigan a good showcase for players and scouts? Remember, the USPHL is a league of destination. There's a league of advancement and there's a league of a destination. You'd think that league would be a league of advancement, except what is there, 90 teams? Do the math on this as far as your own league goes. There's not much opportunity for advancement, because the first priority for those NCDC teams is to bring in whatever talent they can from a prep school, bringing in whatever talent they can from wherever else they can find the talent. They'll pull up from the USPHL, the cream of the crop. So that means, yes, you're going to get some Division III schools there. But remember, Mount Clemens sits in Detroit. There's one Division III team in Michigan, one Division III college program in Michigan. It's Adrian. Adrian tends to be a top 10 team every single year, which means there's very few players they're pulling in from the USPHL premier level. So is it a good event? It's going to be a good event for internal you're going to have advisors there. You're going to have a lot of ACHA programs there. You're going to have a lot of there, but I really don't believe you're going to see a lot of college coaches there. I don't believe you'll see a null presence there. And, clearly you're not going to see anything above the null, USHL, BCHL, or any talent like that. So, John, I don't believe that in the sense of what you're for, that's a closed circuit league, and they take care of their own by design. That's the way they've set that thing up. They don't want their players to leave. They want them to stay within. It puts you in a bad situation there. So what else we got for questions coming in? Understand the CHL import rules, but have you heard about the college immigration rules, student visas for look, I don't think anything's changing as far as the way a student comes in and having to be on a student, either European or Canadian. So not prepared to have a long discussion about it tonight, but I don't think anything changes there. So I'm not sure what you're trying to get to, Jeff, or what specifically you're looking on that, but I don't think anything's changing there. So yes, there are teams that are Canadian and European right now, and AIC is a good example. They like to use foreign players because they're the way they're designed. It's either Clarkson or St. Lawrence. One of the two is almost all Canadian up there. That are student visas across the board. So, all right. Next, Brandon Kelly wants to know: can you explain the CHL scholarship money when you're breaking up? So, scholarship money, a couple things. How it works is when you sign to play up there, you get a deal, a package put together, and it gives you X amount of dollars per season you play. So you play a full year, you get X amount of dollars. You play a half a year and then a full year, you get a prorated half a year and a full year. You can walk out of there with 2-3 years under your belt and have a couple $100,000 for scholarship money that you can utilize, and it's transferable, it's portable. With the caveat, if you play, I believe, AHL or above, AHL level or AHL level, I think the KHL is involved in that now too. You lose that money at that point, you forfeit it. And that's fair. That pretty much says that, you made it to, the AHL and above is considered making it in the profession. If you've made it in the profession, you forfeit that money. But if you don't, the fallback is it's in your pocket. So one thing that I'm trying to play with right now is, and I'm going to use Bowling Green as an example. Maybe Bowling Green says we afford to add 6 scholarships to our program. We can't afford 26 scholarships because we've got to add scholarships, freaking table tennis and wrestling and, the cheer team, it's everything. So it's not just hockey they've got to expand their scholarships to. The NCAA is expanding scholarships across them. So whatever sports you have in those areas, there's an expansion of scholarships. So if Bowling Green's creative, yes, we can expand to 26. We're limited now to 26 players, but nobody says we have to give a 26. Why wouldn't I add major junior guys and say, hey, look, we'd love to have you. You're committed. Here's your package, but we'd like you your money first. Now, some guys might go, no, I really want to go to law school afterwards. Most guys are going to say, okay, fine. That money's go to waste anyway. Why not use it? So I'm thinking maybe there's a creative way. Now, I got to get some clarification. And by next, when I do this again, I hope to have clarification on this, on that ruling. Can do that? Dated to move to 26, or they can expand? Because I know some programs are going to feel compelled to be at 26 to keep up Joneses. We will not be able to compete with Michigan, Minnesota, Boston College, BU, Northeastern, whoever is the top dog at the time. We're not going to be able to compete with them. If I'm Penn State, I want to be able to compete with Notre Dame, Michigan, Minnesota. I'm going to want 26 scholarships. Okay. Now, Bowling Green doesn't have huge endowment like the schools we just talked about. And remember, they're surrounded by all those schools. They're surrounded by the Big Ten. They're surrounded by the big boys. So Bowling Green says, hey, we just don't have it in our budget. We've got to add X to track. We've got to add X to our tumbling team. We've got to add X the wrestlers, whatever it is. The school just can't afford to do this. And we don't have a base of money to go to for more scholarships. So is this Bowling Green's way of saying, okay, look, we're just going to grab 6 guys that have money already. We're going to grab 8 guys that have money already. Use those guys that 19 through 26 on our roster. We still have our scholarship players, and possibly are now our non-scholarship guys on the team. What are your thoughts on that? What do you think on this? Am I off on this? Does somebody have information on this already? If you do, I'd like to hear. I've been reaching out to everybody. I talked to advisors today. I was calling colleges today. Couldn't get a hold of anybody on the college side today. I was calling leagues today, this week, I should say. I've been calling U16 and U18 coaches to get their of course, junior coaches. So some of the things that are being talked about, I already and why I think that, talked to a player earlier this week, possibly a good solid D3 guy. All this turmoil going on, he's not ready to make a commitment to play juniors next year. Boom, he's already talking to the AHA Division I programs to make the move into ACHA, get himself comfortable and assured that he's got a place to play next year. Not everybody's going to have that. So, but here's one of the rumors. I don't even know if it's a rumor. It's conversations in the circle of coaches inside the NAL. I think we're going to lose a lot of good NAL coaches next year. And before you say, oh, Jeff works for Lone Star or leave a conversation with Dan about that should not be a rumor. And I doubt that's the case. He's very invested in that program and invested in the community. If that happened, that'd be a surprise, but I don't want to start any rumors there. So set him aside for the rest of the league. If you're in the Midwest and the North there, where you've got you're up against the OHL, you're up against the Quebec Junior League, and all of a sudden they're knocking on the doors of the same players you are. Man, oh man, if there's opportunity to move, I think you're going to see some of these guys move to higher level junior leagues. When a lot of these guys were extremely happy and comfortable at the NAL level, but the NAL is going to take a hit, just like the BCHL is going to take a hit. So what do you think, folks? What are your thoughts on this? Love to see your questions. Thanks for all of you that have been throwing some good questions in. I hope we've given you some good information, about how many players are already leaving, the BCHL, the US. There is some good news. There is some good news. I did see a couple players move from the Western and I believe the OHL down into the USHL. So there was 4 players, I believe, that made the move the other way. See, that was the thing that most people were concerned about is, are all these Canadian players going to come down and force, Americans out of the USHL? Well, first, there is a cap on the amount of players that can come. So it's never going to dominate the roster with Canadians. That rule might change too. Who knows? But it's just been the opposite. Everybody, I always thought, why would I want to leave Kitchener if I'm from Kitchener? I can play in Kitchener now, and I can get a scholarship from Kitchener. Why would I leave Kitchener? Why would I want to go to the USHL? Now, we have seen some of it, and I'm trying to figure out what the logic is of those players dropping down. Could be ice time. Could be as simple as, hey, I was kind of pigeonholed up in the OHL. Now I'm getting a chance to start fresh, and I'm on the first or second line getting power play time in the USHL. Maybe it was, I didn't look to see if what Americans dropping down that went up in that league and are like, wow, I've always wanted to play in the USHL, can play in the USHL. But put some logic into this. Everybody's worried about all those players coming down. A third of them will never play college hockey because they're going to go on and play pro. Probably 10% or 20% on the bottom end come from parts of Canada where education isn't a priority, okay? Just like our football and basketball in the United States, is the priority. Even if they go to college, they're doing 1 or 2 years in college, not and trying to get on to the pro. Then you're going to get the loyalists, the ones that are their third generation or fourth generation with that local, major team, and I've used it could be Sarnia, it could be Windsor, it could be Kitchener, whatever the program is, Muskegon. Muskegon's American. They don't use Muskegon. But are we going to see these guys leave? Probably not, because they don't have to. They've got the best of both worlds now. So I don't think we're going to see as much of it coming down. So give me your questions on that. I'd love to hear what your thoughts and questions are. We've hit it pretty hard on this. Between the two different broadcasts, we've already gone. Did we get an hour in yet tonight? Yeah, we're right at an hour. I bit to clarify some of this stuff, but I'm going to be on this every week. I'll put some notes, or I'll put newsworthy stories up on the discussion group. Make sure you're a couple things. If you haven't done it already, please take the time to go to our YouTube advisor, subscribe there, watch the videos there. I know a lot of it feeds through onto our Facebook discussion group, our Facebook page, Facebook discussion group. Junior Hockey Advisor is our page. Junior Hockey discussion group. Jump on there. And if you're watching us on Twitter, whatever other social media you're watching on, that's great. But really, Facebook is where we're housed, along with our YouTube channel. So if you could get you on that YouTube channel, get subscribed up there, so we can build and grow that group, just like we've done with our Facebook group. That's such a now important number, enough that when a story comes out, giving the story to us so that we can talk about it here before it actually becomes really kind of cool. It's all because of you and your ability to seek out information, and that's the best part about this. Okay, Lori wants to know, can you speak out on how this would affect the EHL in more depth? I'm going to put you in the category with the NA3HL. I'm going to put you in the category with the USPHL to a little bit to a less extent. What I mean, the EHL is another one of those leagues that have really they've done a very good job of defining who they are. They are a D3 league. They supply quality hockey players to play primarily East Coast D3 hockey. When I say primarily, you'll still get guys coming out of the AHL playing D3 in Wisconsin, playing in Minnesota. You'll see them playing at wherever the other, Western bound programs are. But they're self-contained. They're a league of destination. Not saying they're bulletproof in this situation, but they're not reliant on, moving players up to another level. Players can go straight from there into D3 hockey and ACHA hockey. I don't think they get hit as hard, and here's why. The EHL does a really good job of feeding players in, but it primarily is, if you kind of look at, you've got to, if this was a statistical graph, and here's our peak in the middle, and then we've got standard deviations going off, they're not feeding those top 10% players, those top 20% players to D3 hockey. Those are coming from the NAHL. Those are coming from drop downs from the Division I ranks. They're coming from the NCDC. So they're filling in the second and third and fourth gratifications out as far as talent goes. So because they're deep and wide as far as the base that they provide D3 hockey. If this is a statistical game, there's room for the EHL to slightly shift from being top middle to middle bottom of D3 hockey. D3 hockey gets a ton stronger, and everybody still survives out of this. So I don't think once again, I might change my mind on this, but I think the EHL is positioned well and should ride this storm out much better than other programs. I think that the program, the two programs that are really, really are set up for failure on this are the BCHL, because they've got a program in their backyard. Literally, programs are miles away from each other, major, junior, and a BCHL team. Now a kid that had to make a choice for academics to go to one school can now go down the street and play for that other school. The BCHL is going, whoa, now we've got to go find players. So they got to go and grab players at a level that is below what the BCL quality player is. Go to the AJHL, they're going to go to the Manitoba, they're going to go to Saskatchewan first. I think that's common for the BCHL to pull from those three leagues. So I think that's where they're going to pull from first. So the BCHL's product is going to lessen. It has to. They've already lost some of their top players. It's going to continue to happen. USHL's lost players too, and the same thing's going to happen. So those two leagues boom, and the league that really is going to take the big hit as it all adjusts now. If those scholarships are now with 60 teams up here taking some with the major juniors, instead of the USHL being top dog now, at best, out of this is one of four of the best. Meaning the USHL now, and honestly, the USHL in many ways is an inferior product to the major juniors because they know per diem money. They're not getting the best deals as far as equipment. They're not getting as much love from the NHL as these teams that get, hundreds of thousands of dollars of development money coming into these programs from the NHL. All the money for the USHL is funneled into marketing, and it comes via US Hockey. So, yeah, I think the AHL, getting back to answer the question, I think the AHL is in deep on this. And I'm sorry, Brandon, I kept your comment up there. This should be that was Lori's time. So Lori, there's your comment up there. So this one says, you think age limits will increase now for USHL, CHL? No, I don't think we're going to see an age difference right now in junior hockey. Who knows though? Now that I think about it, I haven't put much thought into that, Vinny, and I don't know. That's not one that's been high on the list as far as questions. Most of this has been dealing with finances and logistics. Finances and logistics. Where can players move and come from? And where's the money coming from? What are they going to do over here? And once again, this is like playing chess with Spock on that, multi-layered Star Trek chess. And yeah, this is, it's above everybody's pay grade. This was a complex equation that some of us saw coming, but nobody has really played it out the way that this is. So hopefully that hopefully that helps a little bit. All right, Jeff, let's see what you got here. How would you rank junior leagues now? Oh, I just did. It's pretty cool. It's so now I would have to start paying a little more attention to, how the top three break down, but there's no way you can put the USHL above of the money that CHL players get, which is perfectly legal now. You can get as much money as you want through an NIL deal, through a stipend, through per diem, as long as when you get to college, it's done, and it's over. You can even play pro hockey before you make your commitment to Division I college hockey. So, the conversation came up. So you're telling me that if a kid went in at 18 years old and played 2 years in the AHL, he could come back? I don't know about that. That's still being thrown back and forth around there. But Major Junior Hockey, USHL, is right up there. Right now, the USHL is as strong or stronger, but it's very clear the writing's on the wall where the pull's going to be. They're going to lose a lot of their ability to pull players just because the deals are going to be better. Unless the USHL start putting together deals like the OHL programs have, they're going to fall into a fourth place. Who's in fifth place? Well, right now it's the North American Hockey League, easily still strong, hasn't taken a hit yet, and they're going to easily push past the BCHL this year, because the BCHL is getting rocked. So the BCHL, when they made their, when they diluted their product and brought the teams in, and there's no other way to say it. When you bring 5 teams in from a lower level league, they diluted their product there, and now being devastated with players leaving to join the majors. So now you're in a situation where, they're 3 major juniors, USHL, NAL, BCHL, they're head and shoulders above everybody. Those 3, 4, 5, 6 leagues, heads and shoulders above everybody, with the top 4 being heads and shoulders above the others. So in other words, the 3 major juniors and the USHL are A level. NAL is BCHL is B minus or B level, but a little shaded below. Where does this leave everybody else? Way far away. Remember, the NCDC, as far as fresh commits, a dozen a year is what they, historically, look at since they've been around. They never have pushed past a dozen commits a year, fresh commits. There's more than that playing in the league, but those are kids that got their commit somewhere else and brought it over to the NCDC. So distant behind the BCHL, and then everything else CGHL wise falls below that. AJ took too much of a hit last year. CCHL and OJ may actually get a lot stronger now, because those leagues could potentially be OHL feeders, even to a more extent than they are now, where really young players join those leagues and move up to the OJHL or the CCHL to go on to play major junior, and not have her worry about going to play D3 or play D1, but stay on path. not to play D3 or D1, to drop down and play tier 3 juniors in the States to get to D3 or D1. So, it's pretty obvious which way they're going. Just a little statistic that you might want to know. There's only 41 Canadians right now inside the USHL. There's only about 70-something Americans in all of the CHL right now. So everybody's going, oh, all those Americans up there. There's hardly any Americans. There's just over one, average of one per team up in the CHL right now. And as far as players down here, there's 2 players per team, Canadian on average, playing in the USHL. So we're not talking huge numbers either down here or up there. So let's look here. So does the Quebec League move way up now? So here, we've been saying the majors. Remember, the way this works is American rights to players are broken down into 3 lanes. There's the East Coast lane that goes from the Quebec League all the way down the East Coast border. That means New York. The 2 big ones are Massachusetts and New York, because that's 2 big numbers of hockey territories. Those are 2 of the top 4. Michigan, Minnesota, New York, and Massachusetts are, where I think you could probably say that 80% of the players in the United States play in those 4 regions. So Quebec has actually got a lot of American players to pull from. The OHL has got everything Michigan down in that area. Illinois, Indiana, all that area, Pennsylvania, you can take it straight down from there. The West Coast states, from the Dakotas over, that goes to the WHL. Now, that's for drafting purposes. So we're going to have to really see how that plays out in the draft coming up, because remember, it used to be, to answer the question about Quebec, I got to kind of go through and give you a little history on this. You could have a guy that could be a first or second round pick. I've had players that I've coached that have been really, really good players. I had a kid a few years ago. He's in the KHL now, and he was good enough to be a first or second round pick, but he started talking to some colleges and entertaining them. The word got back to the OHL. He ended up going in the 7th or 8th round. Now, he ended up being a second round NHL draft pick, and actually played in the NHL before he went to the KHL. But the point being is, it used to be as soon as one of the major juniors heard that you were potentially looking at colleges, they always shied away from Americans that weren't, totally committed to coming up there and, prove their commitment. And of course, an American kid's going to try to keep his powder dry and keep all options open. So when you start talking about Quebec, they really haven't dove deep into that American player. Part of it is proximity. Part of it is the language. Part of it is the attitude of, we're French Canadian, different little mindset compared to, bringing in Americans. Sometimes bringing in an English speaking player is bad enough, let alone bringing in an American. And I joke a little bit about that, but the point is, the Quebec leagues at any junior level have never been really pushed to grow by the American colleges or the American junior system, because there is very little interest to pursue it. They're very isolated in what they do. It's harder travel. To get to the Quebec or the Maritimes is always tougher for most Americans to colleges to get up into that area. So, the question is, do they move way up now? They're still a major junior. They still get, a lot of NHL draft picks. They still get a lot of pro players coming out of there. They have the potential right now to really, really increase their product by allowing kids to, go to the NCAA route. If there's one program that might just say, it's an option that is there, but we're not going to pursue it, it would be the Quebec League. The OHL and the WHL have already jumped jumped in. Now I've already seen some players moving from the BCHL. How many do I hear? I had a few kids that moved. Two or three kids that moved from the Quebec League into the commitments. Oh, I can pull up that commitment list again. Let's look at that together, because I think there was already some kids coming from the queue, which means there's people that are serious about getting up there and getting these guys. So here's our list, if you can just list now. And if we just go through and look for, I'll just do this real quick and see QMJHL right there. The Steinman kid we're talking about, Jacob Steinman, Bowling Green grabbed it this week, day before yesterday. So there's one there. I thought I saw 3 total. So if we go down this list and look for another QMJHL, and I won't spend time on it, but this is where you can go to find more information on it. And we're going, and right off the bat, I'm not seeing another Q. I know that there is some. I thought there were 3 total, and I'll have to go back and do some more homework to find them. But anyway, we know there's definitely one right there, because he jumped right off the page at us. So, of the 3, it's still the weakest, but it's well positioned. So hopefully that helps on that regard. All right, we got one more question here. It says, or here's a comment. I think the BCHL will adapt with more Euro players. I believe they've already many. They've also allowed one more 20-year-old. Yeah, you're going to have to adapt. There's nothing to do but adapt. But the I guess the thing to say is the pile of talent. We haven't increased the amount of talent at juniors. Okay, we've still got the same amount. It doesn't matter if you're in county, because everybody's been going over and grabbing European players. The NC, the NAL, the USHL, the BCHL. Everybody's grabbing European players in those leagues. So the pool of players is not increasing, or the talent level is not increasing at juniors. It's how they're getting dispersed and how they're getting pulled to college. And if you see teams of pulling talent, no matter how many European players you pull in, I don't believe you can make up for if a team just gets devastated. And there's one team this week that lost 6 or 7 players. Who was that lost all the players? Chilliwack. Chilliwack lost 6 players, 2 goalies, 2 defensemen, and 2 forwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Lost 8 players. 7 players. You 11 players. You're going to spend a lot of time and effort trying to find Europeans that fill the void. It's not like you're going out tomorrow and bringing in 7 European players. It just isn't going to happen. Now, next year, could you bring in a couple more Europeans to fill that? Yeah, but you're not going to fill that void. You're going to have to go to a lower level of talent pool to fill that. And remember, that's your top guys. All the guys that got pulled weren't these were players. So they'll adapt, but they're going to have to adapt to the fact that they're not going to have the same kind of talent. There's just no other way to say that. The most talented players are going to get pulled up to the top, and there's a reason for it now, why they should be there. So, JP, I hope that I'd love to hear your comments on that and see if you agree or disagree with that. But to me, it's just common sense when it comes to the CHL. They're just going to have to adjust, and that adjustment could be getting rid of a few teams so that they can consolidate their talent, or it's understanding that they're just going to have a lower level of output. So instead of having, a handful of NHL draft picks, that level of player won't be there anymore. Why would Makar, why would he go play in that league now? No reason to. He could go there, go to a higher level of junior hockey and still be able to go the route he took to get to college. So Folks, thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you so much. Remember, go to our YouTube page, Junior Hockey Advisor. We'll do the same thing next week. I have a feeling this is going to keep us busy. Not only counting the numbers, because if you notice, most of my day was putting together lists of where players were moving, who was moving, what direction, and trying to figure out why they're moving. Hopefully I'll have some answers. I'm going to I've got scheduled calls this week with several Division I programs at different levels of play to get an idea of what they're thinking and what their thoughts are. I'm reaching out to some more USHL guys. Had a really, really great long conversation last night with one of the USHL programs that isn't getting hit hard themselves, but teams, literally, panic and not pulling out. Happens when you start panicking. We'll see where this goes. And whatever I say today, like I said, I literally may change my mind on this as we all get more information and we all get better at understanding where this is going, because it's going quick. The only thing I'm going to say again is I truly, truly believe that the best defense right now is to go on offense. If you've got a chance to make a decision and that decision gets you out of junior hockey a little bit earlier, I'd take it. If I had a chance right now, and I'm speaking mostly to the guys that are, not, blue chip Division I guys, which is the majority of our audience. We do have that blue chip Division I guy. But if you're sitting there and you're not committed to a school, man, oh man, I might be looking at the next level down and saying, hey, I thought I was going to play for, a Division I school at this level here, but maybe I'm okay with a D3 program. If I can open up that door and commit to a D3 program and get something committed before everything starts working down, because it's and spots that were opened up before may not be there anymore. And if you can grab something, I'd grab it. That's my recommendation, and that's a bold statement from a guy that truly believes in junior hockey. But I might be stepping out and taking whatever I can get right now. So have a great night, folks. This was a lot of fun. I enjoyed talking with you and chatting with you. And if you got any questions, throw them up on there. I'll see you on the discussion group and on our YouTube page.